low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Elizabeth Ortel, and for the next hour I'll be reading from recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal, including Wednesday, June 17th, on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The Post-Journal. From the front page, Mayor wants village to buy land near Lakeside Park by Gregory Bacon. About 3 years ago, Erie Bank acquired a little over an acre of land near Lakeside Park where some condominiums were to be built. With nothing taking place there, Mayor Rick Seiper said he wants to see if the village could buy the property. During the recent Mayville Village Board meeting, Seiper requested permission from the trustees about contacting the realtor in charge of selling 74 Water Street. The property is currently being advertised on Cushman & Wakefield's website for $695,000. In the description, it states, beautiful waterfront property located on the north basin of Chautauqua Lake, 1.2 acres of developable land for sale. Possibility for additional land nearby to become available. Centrally located between Buffalo, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. Lakeside Business Zoning District and Lakeside Business Overlay District. Located close to the Chautauqua Institution, a nationally recognized not-for-profit educational center and resort situated on more than 2,000 acres, approximately 8 miles from Interstate 90 and 86 and 11 miles from Bemis Point. Ideal for development opportunity, commercial development, multi-family residential housing, mixed-use building, waterfront restaurant, and/or hotel. Before Erie Bank took possession of the property, it was owned by Lodge at Chautauqua Lake, LLC, headed by Ben Webb. Jim and Sally Webb originally purchased the property with plans to develop it with condominiums. Later, Ben Webb joined Jim and tried to move forward with a fractional ownership hotel. In 2016, a number of the variances needed for the project were rejected by the Mayville Zoning Board of Appeals. But they continued on the project, later proposing a scaled-down condominium that would also include concierge service, valet, and bell services, heated outdoor pool, and an on-site restaurant and lounge. It didn't need near the number of variances as the original project. Eventually, the Lodge at Chautauqua Lake, LLC, had proposed constructing a 34-unit, $17 million condominium resort on the property. A groundbreaking ceremony took place in June 2021, but by March of 2022, it was announced the project was being abandoned. Ever since the project was shelved, there has been talk on and off among village leaders to buy the property. Tom Carlson with the Chautauqua Town Board had expressed interest in either the town buying the land and or buying the land with the village, with the purpose of adding it to Lakeside Park. Even though the property is listed for sale at $695,000, its full market value, according to the county GIS page, is $155,200. During the June Village Board meeting, Seiper said if the bank is interested in selling the property close to what its full market value is, the village may be able to buy it. I really feel this board should positively think that this is the right time to start talking to the realtor about purchasing this, he said, saying they have enough in their reserves. The village board has discussed forming a New York Forward Committee to seek a large state grant. Last year, the village of Westfield was awarded a $4.5 million grant from New York Forward. Cypress said if the village were to buy the land, it could make plans for the property in its application with the state. Earlier this year, the village sought to apply for an open spaces grant, but Cypress said they were unable to apply due to issues at the state level. Carlson was at the village board meeting and said the town may be open to paying for half, but only if the property would become part of Lakeside Park. I know there's some people on this board that don't want to see that. They would rather commercialize it, he said. Cypress said he does not want to commercialize it, but he doesn't want to make it part of the park either. I've talked to people about how to redistrict it to do a private and public work. I don't want to lose it to a commercial entity for this village that wants to see us own it. In January, when they were looking to apply for the Open Spaces grant, Cypress discussed having micro businesses on the property. These businesses could be operating out of small sheds sitting on a trail. Trustee Dan Roche said he just wants to make sure the village can afford purchasing it. Cypress said using the assessed valuation, they have enough to buy it. The question would be if the bank still wants to try to sell it as land for a potential condominium. Erie Bank took possession of the property from Lodge at Chautauqua, LLC, on August 31st, 2023 for $851,715. Village leaders question if a condominium could ever get built there with the necessary variances. Cypress said if someone wants to do the exact same project Ben Webb had proposed, he believes no new variances would be needed. If anyone wants to do a different project, then they would likely need additional variances, depending on the proposal. Roche and others agreed for Cypress to contact the realtor and see what they're interested in selling it for. From the front page by Sarah Holthouse, a city resident having ongoing issues with what she says is a dangerous dog in her neighborhood has brought her concerns to the city council. Laura Harden has been dealing with a dog in her neighborhood that has had a strict dangerous dog order signed by a judge against it. Harden said this dog poses a public safety threat to both her dog, and her neighborhood. The order says legally the dog must be constrained at all times on the owner's property. This was due to the dog severely attacking and almost killing my dog in my fenced-in backyard, Harden said. She added the city's dog control officer did not help her fill out a dangerous dog complaint, but she was granted one with the help of the deputy chief. The same day that the order was officially granted in court, the dog was back in the neighborhood about 3 hours later. The dog was picked up and taken to pick of the litter, but Harden said when she asked to file charges, she was refused. Remembrance. Clymer unveils historic marker for 1872 grant for presidential event. When people drive through the town of Clymer, they now can see a new historic marker placed on the wall alongside the parking lot at the center of town. The marker, detailing the 1872 rally where about 2,000 people gathered in support of Grant for president, was unveiled Sunday during the short ceremony. While the marker is placed at the parking lot, the Sunday afternoon unveiling ceremony took place at the Clymer Methodist Church due to the impending thunderstorm. Rod Beckerink, Clymer Area Historical Society president, welcomed attendees to the event, and town historian Cindy Willink gave the crowd a brief history of Flag Day, as Sunday was also Flag Day. Flag Day commemorates the adoption of the flag of the United States on June 14, 1777. The history of the day, commemorated by the town's new historic marker, was then talked about by Beckerink. The rally was held at the town's former Eagle Hotel, which used to stand where the parking lot is now. If we were standing over across the street in the parking lot, I'd ask you to imagine the hotel that you see in this poster being the center of what we're talking about today. The gathering place of this event first took place back in the summer of 1872. The hotel was built around the Civil War and would stand on till right before World War I. Over the years, the hotel was host to New Year's balls and other festive gatherings, with a ballroom on the second floor. Beckerink said anything that happened in town would most likely have seen the hotel being used event-wise. Molitor, State Data Center Delay is Hypocritical by John Whitaker. Both Assemblyman Andrew Molitor and State Senator George Borrello opposed legislation creating a one-year moratorium on new data center construction in the state. As the Post-Journal and Observer reported in early June, the state legislature did what was expected and passed the moratorium through the legislation. A 11560-S10642 has yet to be sent to Governor Kathy Hochul for approval. Molitor said on the assembly floor that he opposed the legislation because it took local control away from the data center discussion while still allowing the state to pursue data centers under the Empire AI project, a $500 million public-private consortium launched by New York State to advance artificial intelligence research for the public good. It is centered around a state-of-the-art supercomputing facility at the State University at Buffalo and provides researchers with the computing power required to develop next-generation AI technologies. Molitor also asked specifically if the legislation had exceptions for the redevelopment of brownfield sites like the former NRG power plant in Dunkirk. I think this is a good example of what's good for me but not for thee, Molitor said. The state is going to put a moratorium on data centers in places where there could be a former industrial site that could be easily converted into a data center, that the local municipality could benefit from the increased tax revenue, but they're going to be under a moratorium. Meanwhile, the state, as long as it's under an Empire AI project, will be able to create their own data center. The state will still benefit from all those companies that offer artificial intelligence and cloud computing, but they won't have to follow for those companies to build data centers in their state. In addition to the one-year moratorium on permits for data centers, the bill requires hearings before a data center permit is issued and requires the Department of Environmental Conservation to prepare an environmental impact report on data center development in the state. The state public service law would be amended to require each electric corporation, gas corporation, and municipality to establish an independent classification of service for large energy use facilities, while the state public service law would be changed to require each waterworks corporation to establish an independent classification of service for large energy use facilities. The State Public Service Commission would be prohibited from approving any change of rates or related updates to a tariff unless a data center proposed includes a service classification for large energy use facilities and an adjustment mechanism. State lawmakers are also proposing a new section in the Public Authorities Law authorizing NYSERDA, NYSERDA, in conjunction with the Federal Bulk System Operator, the Public Service Commission, and the State Climate Action Council to determine reasonable energy consumption efficiency goals for the design and operation of data centers, including the recycling of waste heat, and a new section in the state energy law requiring data centers to derive increasing percentages of their electricity consumption from renewable energy systems, either via on-site production or power purchase agreements. Data centers, including within the Long Island Power Authority service territory, would also be required to provide their host communities with benefits including residential energy technologies and community infrastructure, as well as prevent adverse impacts on local waters. There has been vocal opposition to the possibility of a data center in the town of Portland. While one possible use listed in planning documents for the former NRG power plant in Dunkirk has been as a data center. The plant was recently purchased by Genover, a firm focused on responsibly redeveloping legacy industrial properties. Genover will lead the next phase of future site planning, preparation, and redevelopment. Genover looks forward to closely working with the City of Dunkirk and Chautauqua County officials to identify future redevelopment efforts. Molitor said, in his opinion, the state's decision to limit options for local governments is a problem. This, I think, is very problematic, Molitor said, as many of my colleagues have already said, but I'll repeat. I think this bill is sort of an admission that our grid capacity and capabilities are in a seriously bad place right now. If we had greater energy generation and better transmission lines, we wouldn't have to worry about the amount of energy data centers use. And we could rely on SEQRA, SEQRA, and local governments to determine whether a new data center in their area would be beneficial for them. This takes away that local control as well. I understand the intent of this bill. I think there are certainly good things about it, but overall, I will not be able to support it. Dunkirk Fiscal Recovery Act deadline by M.J. Stafford. Dunkirk's Fiscal Recovery Act is dead, Mayor Kate Widowies said Friday. Widowies made the pronouncement near the start of a city government meeting she called. Widowies invited city department heads and all 5 members of the Common Council. All the department heads showed up. She's their boss. However, she is clearly not the boss of the Common Council. Just one member, Michael Civiletto, showed up. The mayor opened her meeting by calling it a department head workshop meeting, stating that there are issues that seem to be bypassing council and the scope of whatever they're doing. She then declared that the deadline for reinstating the city's New York state-backed Fiscal Recovery Act has come and gone. State Senator George Borrello and Assemblyman Andrew Molitor had offered a new version of the act after the previous one expired December 31st, with Dunkirk failing to access the millions in funding. However, Council balked at some of the terms of the Borrello-Molitor initiative, and Vidovich accused the group of offering no input back to the state politicians on their plan. There were some things the council didn't like that they didn't properly communicate, she said. Because of that will not be happening this year, she concluded. The mayor later hounded Department of Public Works officials about their use of part-time summer workers. Vidovic said she had heard from the public that it seems your summer help has been tasked with doing the normal jobs of full-time employees. She reminded that there have been grievances filed against the city in the past over that kind of thing. I don't think that's a fair statement that they are doing what's not allowed, replied Michael Przybysyn, Deputy DPW Director. They work side by side with full-timers. That's what summer help does. They work potholes and patches. The implication that the part-timers do most of DPW's work while the full-timers dawdle is 100% false, he said. Widows pushed department heads to start wish lists and first drafts for their sections of the 2027 city budget. We know that any wish list items will come with tax increases. Please be mindful of the taxpayers' burden, she said. The mayor wants a formal budget calendar in the hopes of getting it passed earlier than its traditional early December date. Fiscal Affairs Officer Ellen Lukowiak commented that an audit of the city's 2025 finances should be available by September. The mayor sought to turn the meeting towards positive things, handing the floor to Planning and Development Director Vince DeJoy, so he could talk about various projects. DeJoy went on for about 20 minutes. The first three things he mentioned were the battery energy storage system planned in the woods near Brighton Road, Wells Enterprises' ongoing expansion project, and the apartment complex under construction at one site near the Save-A-Lot Pizza on 4th Street and another on Washington Avenue. DeJoy mentioned other things such as the Wright Park Beachfront Preservation and Development Initiative, planned dredging of the harbor, and workforce development projects. He added an interesting tidbit about Brooks Memorial Hospital. Its parent companies are building a new hospital in Fredonia, and there has been much concern in Dunkirk about what will happen to the current hospital building in the city. DeJoy said Brooks TLC Brass wants further discussions about redeveloping the site. He said he would be joining a group of Brooks TLC officials in Pittsburgh for a tour of a former hospital of similar size and age as the one in Dunkirk that was successfully developed. In the region news, UPMC Chautauqua launches patient-employee programs. UPMC Chautauqua has launched two initiatives designed to provide practical support for patients and employees facing everyday challenges. The new programs, Nourish and Support and Tom Lang Care Closet, reflect the hospital's ongoing commitment to caring for the whole person and helping meet basic needs that can affect health, recovery, and well-being, said Tracy Gates, president of UPMC Chautauqua. Together, the two programs underscore UPMC Chautauqua's focus on compassionate, community-centered care. By addressing needs such as access to meals, clothing, and everyday essentials, the hospital is working to support patients beyond clinical treatment and ensure employees also have resources available when they need them most. Through Nourish and Support, ready-to-heat meals, extra food from the cafeteria is stored in freezer containers, labeled and made available to patients recently discharged and employees who may need a meal. The program is intended to reduce barriers for individuals and families experiencing food insecurity, while also offering a simple, dignified way to access nourishment during a difficult time. We are grateful for the grants we were awarded from Cummins Engine Foundation to purchase a new freezer, as well as Lakeshore Savings Bank Foundation and the WCA Foundation. Healthy Life Fund to purchase the supplies, said Megan Barone, Director of Development, UPMC Chautauqua. The Tom Lang Care Closet was created to assist newly discharged patients who need clothing, shoes, and essential items as they transition from the hospital to home. Named in honor of longtime employee Tom Lang of Jamestown, who passed away in 2024, the Care Closet provides access to necessities that can help patients leave the hospital with greater comfort, confidence, and dignity. Tom Lang's motto was, "You'll never know when you need something," said Barone. He was a 30-year team member at UPMC Chautauqua and the go-to guy for many things. A $1,000 grant from the Chautauqua Regional Community Foundation, CRCF, was used to purchase totes, shelving, and labels. Community Helping Hands donated a supply of new clothing. WCA Foundation supported the initial purchase of apparel, including shoes for all ages and sizes, from unrestricted and restricted funds. Property owners in line for more school tax relief. Nearly 3 million New Yorkers across the state will receive over $2 billion in tax relief this summer and fall through New York's School Tax Relief STAR program. STAR provides property tax relief to eligible homeowners and seniors statewide. While some STAR recipients will receive their benefit in the form of a tax exemption this year, many other recipients will receive a tax credit and will be sent a check in the mail this summer and fall. The start of summer is also the start of STAR tax relief season for millions of New Yorkers, Governor Kathy Hochul said. From tax credits and energy rebates to our expanded child tax credit and middle-class tax cuts, we're going to continue to put more money back in New Yorkers' pockets. Most homeowners eligible for a STAR credit will receive a check between $350 and $600. Most seniors eligible for an enhanced STAR credit will receive a check between $700 and $1,500. Check deliveries have begun and will continue statewide throughout the summer and fall. STAR recipients can visit newyork.gov/star to track their check delivery or enroll in direct deposit. New York State Department of Taxation and Finance Acting Commissioner Amanda Hiller said, "We want every eligible homeowner to take advantage of the STAR program. If you're a new homeowner or you are currently not receiving a STAR benefit on your primary residence, check out the tax department's website to see how you can register and start saving." Homeowners who are eligible and registered for the STAR credit program will receive their STAR check before the deadline for their school taxes. Some parts of the state, including New York City, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse, have school tax due dates in late June and July, and will receive their STAR benefits soon. Benefits across other parts of the state will continue to roll out throughout the summer and fall. STAR recipients can visit newyork.gov/star for a delivery schedule. Homeowners can also enroll in the STAR Credit Direct Deposit Program through the Homeowner Benefit Portal within the tax department's secure online services system. To ensure homeowners receive their STAR credit by direct deposit this year, they should enroll as soon as possible. To guarantee timely delivery by direct deposit, homeowners should sign up at least 15 business days before their local school tax due date. This year, starting in July, the tax department is holding regional STAR seminars. In these sessions, people can learn how to sign up for STAR and maximize their benefits. The first session in Erie County is on July 7th. The sessions will run through the summer. For STAR seminar schedules and more information on the STAR program, visit the tax department's STAR Resource Center. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Lilydale to open season Friday. Lilydale Assembly, one of the world's oldest and largest centers dedicated to spiritualism, will open its 147th summer season on Friday. The 2026 season will feature more than 300 programs and events. Daily activities include message services at the Inspiration Stump and Forest Temple, healing services, educational presentation, and other programs. Visitors can also enjoy Lilydale's historic architecture, peaceful walking paths, unique shops, dining options, and lakeside setting. Whether attending a workshop, exploring spiritualist traditions, or simply enjoying the beauty and tranquility of the grounds, guests are invited to experience the distinctive spirit of this extraordinary community. The 2026 season officially runs June 19th through August 30th. Powerful partners. Sheriff honored by City Drug Treatment Court by Michael Zabrodsky. Chautauqua County Sheriff, Jamestown City Treatment Court participants were recognized Monday. Treatment court participants shared submissions reflecting on what the program has meant to them. What you are doing is not easy, Treatment Court Judge George Panabianco said to the participants. We appreciate what you have been doing. Catherine Newton, Treatment Court Resource Coordinator, also invited members of the community to join them in recognizing the accomplishments of the Treatment Court program and to honor Quattrone, who was presented with a Commitment to Excellence Award. Accepting on his behalf was Under Sheriff James Renzi. According to a prepared statement, Quattrone and the Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office have demonstrated a commitment to supporting individuals affected by substance abuse and mental health disorders. Their partnership with the Treatment Court program has been instrumental in assisting participants, particularly by facilitating transportation to access critical inpatient treatment services throughout the region. The Jamestown City Treatment Court seeks to provide an expedited case processing method for non-violent substance abusing defendants that encourages treatment and supervision. The goal of the JCTC program is to reduce the cost of the criminal justice system by preventing recidivism caused by untreated alcohol, drug abuse, and mental health disorders, the statement said. The court holds the distinction of establishing the first drug court and the first mental health court and veterans treatment court in Chautauqua County. Since its inception in February 2000, the program has expanded its jurisdiction to accept hub drug court transfers involving misdemeanor cases from town and village courts throughout the county. Additionally, felonies are heard through Jamestown City Court when acting in county court capacity. The treatment court has partnerships with several local agencies, including Chautauqua County District Attorney's Office, Chautauqua County Public Defender's Office, and Chautauqua Office of Probation. Additional supportive services are provided through community partnerships, including Chautauqua County Mental Hygiene, UPMC Healthcare Systems, TLC Behavioral Health, Safe Point Lighthouse, and the Resource Center. Ancillary services include community education and awareness offered by Chautauqua County Chapter of National Alliance for Mental Illness, NAMI, and AMI. Peer advocacy services offered by Chautauqua County Mental Health Association, housing and vocational training through Southern Tier Environments for Living, STEL, and veteran justice mentor services through the local Veterans Affairs Office. Opinion page in the Post-Journal. City will need new ways to pay for demolitions. Jamestown is on track to spend all of the American Rescue Plan Act funding it allocated for housing demolitions by the end of the year. That means the city will meet the federal deadline for the use of that pot of money, though that should be the least of the city's concerns, in our opinion, when it comes to housing demolitions. The city usually budgets between $100,000 and $130,000 for emergency demolitions, or enough for between 3 to 4 demolitions. City officials also include funding for housing demolitions in the Community Development Block Grant Program. In the past, money the State Attorney General's office received from legal settlements with subprime mortgage lenders was used by Jamestown and other cities to help pay for housing demolitions through land banks. Many city residents want to see housing quicker pace, but the ever-increasing cost of housing demolitions and a limited number of companies able to tear down derelict homes limits how many houses can be torn down. Mind you, the pace that isn't fast enough for some is fueled in part by ARPA funding. We don't see another $28 million coming from the federal government anytime soon. And given the fact the city has already signaled it is likely looking at a tax increase exceeding the state's 2% tax cap, obviously the city won't be able to replace the ARPA funding for housing demolitions with new money from the city's budget without further increasing taxes on city residents. That means another funding source is going to be needed if the city wants to keep up its current pace of demolition, or even better, try to pick up the pace if new contractors can be certified to handle the work. City Natives Charity makes donation. The Reminder Collection, a mindset-focused apparel brand founded by Allegheny by Kim Serville, a Jamestown native, recently completed its Together We Fight With Them initiative, delivering 70 sponsored mindset gift packages to children receiving treatment at Golisano Children's Hospital of Buffalo. Over the course of several months, local businesses, organizations, and community members rallied together to support the effort. Through sponsorships and donations, A total of $3,600 was raised to fund the project. After all gift packages were produced and delivered, the remaining balance of $167.49 was donated directly to the Children's Hospital of Buffalo Foundation. Each Mindset gift package included a reminder collection fighter, t-shirt, a Brave plush blanket, a superhero-themed coloring activity, crayons, and a custom tote bag displaying the names of the community sponsors who helped make the initiative possible. The delivery day was especially meaningful for the Serville family. Kim's 11-year-old identical twin sons, Brayson and Riley, played an important role throughout the project and were present for the final delivery to the hospital. As a parent, you never want to imagine what those children and families are facing, said Serville. This initiative was about reminding them that an entire community stands beside them. Every shirt, blanket, and gift carried a message of hope. Seeing Brayson and Riley experience the power of helping others made the journey even more meaningful. The Reminder Collection was founded on the belief that words matter and that simple reminders can have a profound impact on mindset and mental well-being. This wasn't just about delivering gifts, she said. It was about delivering hope. It was about reminding children and families that even during their hardest days, there are people they may never meet who care deeply about them. Together, we fight with them. Zonta Club installs 2026-27 officers directors. The Zonta Club of Jamestown installed its officers and directors for the 2026-2027 club year during its recent business meeting. Presiding over the installation ceremony was Area Director Rosie Papalia, who administered the oath of office and recognized the commitment of the incoming leadership team to advancing Zonta's mission of building a better world for women and girls. Installed as officers were Marcia Restivo, President, Beth Germain, President-elect, Debbie Piratowski, Vice President, Bonnie DeJoy, Treasurer, Jill Colburn, Assistant Treasurer, and Mary Cook, Secretary. Installed as directors were Jessica Jacques and Joe Haumasser. Directors Bethany O'Hogan and Ellie Nickerson were unable to attend the ceremony. The newly installed officers and directors will lead the club in its ongoing efforts to empower women through service, advocacy, education, and scholarship programs throughout the Jamestown area and beyond. A reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal of the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Lengthy list. City's DRI application includes 24 projects totaling $30 million plus. The Northwest Arena may get a state-supported facelift to make the building better suited for performances. The top-ranked project in the application in Jamestown Downtown Revitalization Initiative application to the state is a $2.3 million project at the arena that will use $900,000 in DRI funding, with another $1.4 million raised from public and private funding. Arena and National Comedy Center officials say the project will transform Jamestown's largest venue into a year-round performance and conference facility. Currently, additional programs are held back by what Arena and Comedy Center officials say is an inefficient show provisional production cost that requires expensive rental and temporary installation. That means shows can only be booked as a grouping over multiple nights, which limits the opportunity to bring more shows to the arena. It costs about $75,000 to bring shows to the arena, according to the city's application. This project transforms an existing venue into a flexible, fully equipped facility capable of hosting year-round live performances, cultural programming, educational experiences, and large-scale conferences, the application states. It represents a strategic investment in downtown Jamestown revitalization, enhancing cultural access, strengthening tourism, and supporting the city's long-term economic growth. In total, the city's DRI application includes 24 projects totaling $30,182,500 in proposed downtown revitalization initiative spending, more than 3 times the $10 million the city received. The second project would spend $2 million in DRI funding as part of a more than $40 million development of the Furniture Mart building in a partnership between the Gebbe Foundation, Meritocracy Venture LLC project. Costs include $1.9 million for acquisition and an optional $500,000 for an adjacent parking area, $3.3 million in masonry stabilization, and $35 million in development costs. The project is scheduled to take 18 months to complete. The Furniture Mart's redevelopment promises a transformative impact on downtown Jamestown, the application states. Restoring its architectural grandeur will visually enhance the streetscape. Functionally, it will create a vibrant space for people to gather and catalyze further development by attracting investment. Its substantial size, flexible layout, and riverfront location position it to become a bustling center of activity, significantly contributing to Jamestown's revitalization and symbolizing the city's resilience. The third project focuses on the expansion of Shawbucks, with $900,000 in DRI funding to be coupled with $1.235 million of public and private funding to renovate vacant upper floors in the restaurant building in a project taking between 2 and 5 years to complete. The project is one Johnson has talked about publicly over the past few years, with indoor spaces for conferences, lectures, workshops, wellness programs, and incubation for food-based businesses and health education, a rooftop garden, and teaching space for urban farming, community gardens, and seasonal produce growing, and accessibility and safety upgrades, mechanical and structural improvements that support increased occupancy and use. Another $1,207 million of DRI funding is slated for the restoration of the Viking Temple at 318 Washington Street. The project also includes $2,242,500 in public and private funding for a 3 to 5 year project that would upgrade HVAC, replace the roof, update the sprinkler system, fix an elevator in the building, and $2.5 million in additional renovations. The first floor of the building is in use, with the rest of the building vacant. The project aims to restore the second floor of the Temple building as a flexible gathering space and reinvigoration of the third floor ballroom and mezzanine. The Hotel Jamestown, which recently celebrated its 100th anniversary, is proposed to receive $900,000 in DRI funding as part of a $2.3 million project. The project would make exterior repairs to the historic building with acquisition of the Brick City Market at 101 West 4th Street to create a specific and separate entrance for the general public to use when renting the Crystal Ballroom. The project will also retrofit the space to include accessible entry features, enhanced wayfinding, and amenities. While those are the top 5 projects in the application, there are more than 20 projects listed. Not all will make it into the final DRI plan, but they are projects that are on the city's radar. They are listed in order: masonry stabilization of the Lucy Desi Museum, $525,000. $600,000 for a historic downtown restoration fund. $600,000 for a $900,000 destination Jamestown campaign to attract meetings and conferences. $1 million for a more than $2 million downtown parking modernization program. $2 million is part of a $4.9 million project to improve streetscapes and circulation at North Main and Harrison Streets and Washington Street. The project would reconfigure traffic patterns and intersection geometry at North Main and Harrison Streets and North Main and Washington Streets, with traffic calming and pedestrian refuge islands, upgrade signals along North Main Street through downtown, and made streetscapes at the 5 Points Gateway with new sidewalks, street trees, lights, and wayfinding. $2 million in DRI funding for a downtown lighting project that replaces all remaining Cobra head fixtures across downtown streets, that also includes new electrical infrastructure in the area. The total project cost is $5.675 million. $2 million in DRI funding that is part of a $4 million transformation of Tracy Plaza. $350,000 in DRI funding to refresh Jamestown brand and wayfinding. The entire project would cost $700,000. Redevelopment of First Street with $680,000 in DRI funding and $680,000 in public and private funding to improve infrastructure and move utilities underground, targeted building rehabilitation and upper floor housing conversions, as well as preliminary engineering, permitting, and phased construction. A $400,000 use of DRI funding that is part of the $500,000 project to stabilize the arcade building over a 6 to 12 month time frame. Activation of the Chattahoochee River with $2 million in DRI funding and $1.6 million in outside funding to pay for a performance area for outdoor events, signature gardens, enhanced public art, a watercraft rental kiosk, a water taxi linking downtown Jamestown, Chautauqua Lake, and new program signs and ADA accessibility. $1 million in DRI funding as part of a $3 million project to redevelop the Mayflower Storage Building into upper floor apartments, commercial spaces on the ground floor, and building improvements. $2 million in DRI funding for redevelopment of Brooklyn Square that includes re-establishing historic traffic patterns, creating new development concepts, and other improvements. The project would cost $42.9 million and include $950,000 to demolish a building, $30,000 for site preparation, $2.385 million for utility updates and lighting, and then $20 million to $40 million for reconstruction. $2 million in DRI funding as part of a $12 million project to extend the Jamestown Riverwalk to the west and east. $2 million in DRI funding as part of the $17.5 million project in conjunction with Ramsey Agriculture's hydroponics and anaerobic Digestion Pilot Project. $1.22 million in DRI funding as part of a $3.5 million project at the Fenton History Center that will include construction of a barn and repair of the building's roof and windows. $1.7 million in DRI funding that would be part of a $3.5 million project to redevelop the former Tabone paving site at 145 Fairmont Avenue into a new waterfront destination that would include a kayak launch and docks, a connection to the city's Riverwalk, restaurants and vendors with the potential for designated food truck spaces, a small stage for live music and entertainment, space for lawn games or bocce courts, and seating areas with decorative lighting and fire pits. And lastly, $1.5 million in DRI funding for a pump track at Jackson Taylor Park. The total project cost would be $3 million. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal. We read from the Jamestown Post-Journal every Saturday at 6 p.m. Your reader has been Elizabeth Ortell. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Niagara Falls Review. At 8 o'clock, we have Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal. And at 9 o'clock, we have Sports Illustrated. Stay with us for these readings and more. Are you facing challenges with vision loss and need help with your smartphone, sending emails, navigating the internet, and staying connected with your family? VIA, Visually Impaired Advancement, is offering free classes for seniors weekly at multiple locations with free assistance for your smartphone, email, and internet skills. There's a new session every week, and it rotates between the South Towns and the North Towns. It's at your local Erie County libraries and at 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. For more information, call Elhana Porter at 716-888-4632. Again, that's 716-888-4632. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which